It was a crisp autumn evening when 5 friends, Emily, Jake, Sarah, Mike, and Chris, received an unexpected invitation. The message came from an old acquaintance, Daniel, whom they hadn't seen in years. The invitation was simple: "Come to my family's cabin in the woods for a weekend getaway. It's been too long. Let's catch up." The group was hesitant at first. Daniel had always been a bit of an oddball, and the idea of spending a weekend in a remote cabin felt eerie. But curiosity and nostalgia got the better of them. They packed their bags, loaded up Jake's SUV, and set off on the long drive into the heart of the forest. The cabin was exactly as they had imagined: old, creaky, and surrounded by towering trees that seemed to whisper in the wind. The air was thick with the scent of pine and damp earth. Daniel greeted them at the door with a wide smile, but something about his demeanor felt off. His eyes were too wide, his movements too jerky, as if he were trying too hard to seem normal. The inside of the cabin was cozy but unsettling. The walls were lined with taxidermy animals, deer, foxes, even a bear, all staring with glassy eyes. A large, ornate mirror hung above the fireplace, its surface slightly warped, making reflections appear distorted. The group tried to shake off their unease, chalking it up to the isolation and the eerie atmosphere. As night fell, the group gathered around the fireplace, sharing stories and laughter. But as the hours passed, the mood shifted. The wind howled outside, and the trees seemed to close in around the cabin. Emily swore she saw something move in the shadows outside the window, but when she looked closer, there was nothing there. Then the noises began. Soft at first, a faint scratching at the door, a distant whisper in the wind, but soon the sounds grew louder. Thumps from the attic, footsteps on the porch, and a low, guttural growl that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Daniel insisted it was just the wind and the old cabin settling, but no one believed him. The group decided to lock the doors and windows and stay together in the living room, but as the night wore on, the noises only grew more intense. It was Sarah who first noticed it. She was staring into the mirror above the fireplace, trying to calm her nerves, when she saw something move behind her reflection. She turned around, but there was nothing there. When she looked back at the mirror, the reflection was different. The room behind her was darker, the shadows deeper, and in the corner of the mirror she could see a figure. A tall, gaunt man with hollow eyes, staring directly at her. She screamed, and the others rushed to her side, but when they looked in the mirror, all they saw was their own reflections. Daniel, however, seemed unusually calm. "It's just an old mirror," he said. "It's been in my family for generations. Sometimes, it plays tricks on you." The next morning, the group decided to explore the woods around the cabin, hoping to clear their heads. But the forest was unnaturally quiet, the usual sounds of birds and insects absent. As they walked deeper into the woods, they stumbled upon a clearing. A small, overgrown cemetery with crumbling headstones. The names on the stones were all the same. Confused and frightened, they confronted Daniel back at the cabin. He finally broke down and told them the truth. The cabin had been in his family for generations, but it was cursed. Every Daniel in his family line had died young, their souls trapped in the mirror. The only way to break the curse was to lure others to the cabin and offer them as sacrifices. Horrified, the group tried to leave, but the forest seemed to shift and change around them, leading them in circles. The cabin was the only safe place, but it was also a trap. As night fell again, the noises returned, louder and more menacing than before. The figure in the mirror began to move, reaching out as if trying to escape. In a desperate bid for survival, the group smashed the mirror, shattering it into 1,000 pieces. The cabin shook, the wind roared, and for a moment it seemed as if the curse had been broken. But as the dust settled, they realized the truth. The mirror was only a vessel. The curse was still alive, and now it was free. The group managed to escape the cabin, but they were forever changed. Emily swore she could still hear the whispers in the wind. Sarah refused to look in mirrors, and Jake would wake up in the middle of the night convinced he was back in the woods. As for Daniel, he was never seen again. Some say he's still out there, luring others to the cabin, trying to break the curse. Others say he's trapped in the mirror, his soul forever bound to the cabin in the woods. And if you ever find yourself driving through a dense forest and you see an old, creaky cabin with a light on in the window, keep driving, because once you step inside, you may never leave.